Good morning, students. Your piano teacher, Tim here, and today it's the ultimate review of the bass clef, and we're going to start from the ground up right from the beginning, and then moving quickly to the more advanced reading strategies so that by the end of today's lesson, you have it mastered once and for all. Now, this is a live lesson, so I'm going to be checking in with the chat every now and again, but I have a question for you, and that question is, what are these four notes? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write four notes in on the sheet music here, and I want you to tell me what those notes are. And this is just a way for me to gauge where you guys are at in your piano education. So I would really appreciate if you know the answer to answer it and give your best answer in the chat. So let's draw these notes out, shall we? And we'll just test to see where you guys are currently at. Okay, now, these are your four notes. They're all in the bass clef, which is what we're talking about today. And I know if you're new to bass clef, maybe, you don't know these notes yet, and that's okay. We will figure these out later. But take mental note of this, write these four down, and let me know in the chat if you know the answer. And we will get back to this in just a minute while I go over the introductory topics for today. So first I want to say hello to Sam, who has joined us in the chat here. Let me get the chat up and ready. So welcome. Good morning, everybody. Hopefully everybody's having a good day. Let me know if you can't see me or hear me. But in the meantime, let's continue. So next, we're going to talk about the lines and spaces of the bass clef. Again, this is to catch everybody up, and this will help you answer that question that I just gave you. So let's talk about it. And let's get the piano here. So as you can see, there's a staff here, and on the staff, you can have notes on the lines or spaces in between those lines, and of course it's not doing what I want. Give me a second. There it is. Okay, so as you can see, we have a note on each of the lines of the bass clef. And when you're figuring these out, you always want to go from the bottom note to the top note. If you do it any other which way, it is not going to turn out well. So here are the lines of the bass clef. The first one is G, and what you do is you find middle C right here, and you go down to the C below that, and you find that G. That's the first G of the bass clef, and the lines skip over every other note. So they are G, B, the middle line's D right here, F, and A. So again, you find C, go down to G, go down to another one, and these are the lines of the bass clef, G, B, D, F, A. Remember that. Some people like to use a saying like, good boys deserve fruit always, or some variation on that, and that's totally fine. Just remember, when you're using these sayings, you want to make sure that you are doing from the bottom to the top. Very, very important. So let's do the spaces of the bass clef, and then we're going to do a little practice session together. So again, what I want you guys to do, if you do know the bass clef, the question I open with is, what are these four notes? So I'll let you look at them again, and let me know what those notes are, and then we'll talk about that in a minute. But let's take a look here. So now we have a note on all four of the spaces, from the bottom to the top, right? And these notes are as follows. So remember the G, the bottom line of the bass clef was here? Well, now we're starting from this A, the note right next to it. So you find the same note, and you're just starting one up from there. And this skips every other note as well. This is A, C, E, G. Now this is going to come up later, but one thing I wanted you to notice is, once again, we are skipping every other note here. And whenever you're going from space to space to space to space, or line to line to line to line, you're skipping over every other note. Now, what if I put the lines and spaces together? Well, this is what would happen. Sorry, guys, this thing's really annoying. Hold on. So if I put all the lines and spaces together, it would start from this bottom line, and then you would actually go up every other note. So here's G, then the next note right here is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. So when you go from line to space, and all the notes are right in a row, you know that those notes are in order on the piano. If they go from space to space to space to space, or line to line to line to line, you know that you're skipping. And there's a very special reason I'm bringing this up, and it's for later. Anyway, I just want to say a quick hello to some of the people in the chat here. Let me get the chat up and running. Good morning, people. We have a new member here. I'm just going to call you Davidson. Ingrid Davidson. Welcome to our welcome to our membership. Welcome to student, it says. Thank you so much for becoming a channel member. I'll have an announcement about channel members coming up. And then we got Michael De Lima. Welcome. We got welcome Terry with an H at the end. And then we got Lexington. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, guys, let me know any questions you have along the way. Again, I was kind of testing you earlier to see your knowledge, and I wanted, once again, I still haven't gotten the right answer. So if you know the answer to these 4 notes right here, in fact, we just went over the lines and spaces, so you should know 3 of these notes here. And I want you guys to take the time to answer, what are these 4 notes? So keep in mind that like this one right here, this is the top space of the bass clef. Remember, all, well, maybe I didn't go over the saying, but it's all cows eat grass, or A, C, E, G. So I'll give you that one's G. So let me know what the other 3 are when you get a chance. You know, take a look, pause if you need to, but we'll continue. And just a way for me to test your knowledge. All right, let's continue on. Again, let me know any comments or questions you have about reading bass clef, and we will get to those throughout the lesson. So now that we've learned the treble clef and bass clef, let's do a little practice, shall we? And really see if we know what we're talking about. Okay, it's quiz time. Are you guys ready? These 4 notes here. This time, I'm not moving on until you tell me what these 4 notes are. This is quiz time, right? We need everybody on the same page. So if you guys could please let me know what these 4 notes are from left to right. Hello, Nick M. I'll just call you Nick. M for joy. Welcome, Nick. Hi, GF. So you were probably wait. Okay, the first 2 are GF. True. So I think you were talking about this one, right? These are GF, and then what are these 2, if you know? But anyway, the one we're doing right now is right here. What are these notes? You gotta tell me. G, E, C, A, says Terry. This is very correct. So this is the spaces of the bass clef in reverse order. Thank you, Terry. All right, let's do a few more. Okay, guys, what notes do we have now? You got to give them left to right. What 4 notes are these? I'm not moving on until you tell me. I got to make sure that you guys are right on the ball today. And welcome, Sam, by the way, if I didn't say so earlier. Our wonderful mod. All right, you got to give me these 4. Go! All right, do we have any answers? Let me know. Let me know in the chat, please. These 4 notes right here. I'll give you some hints as people maybe type them in. So this one's on a space, right? And then the rest are on lines. So when it's on a space, right, there's 2 options. One is good boys deserve fries always, but those are the lines. But the saying I use for the spaces are all cows eat grass. So this one must be E, right? All cows eat. And let's see if we have the right answer over in the chat here. Somebody says E, F, G, D. Very close. Michael is very, very close here. E is correct. This, however, is not F. I think you were thinking treble clef for a second. Remember, it's good boys deserve, fruit always. So that would actually be E, A, G, D. And Lexington has it right. So does Kelly. And so does Nick. And yeah, Michael, you're very close. I think you just kind of mixed up the treble and the bass there. All right, let's do one or two more. And then we're going to move on to more advanced stuff. Nope. All right, from left to right, go. We're only moving on until I get the correct answer. I'll walk you through some tips while some of you might be, kind of figuring it out. So what I always like to do, first question I ask myself if I'm brand new to this, is the note on a line or a space, right? And this first one is on a space. And you want to remember the sayings for each of the clefs. All cows eat grass, or the spaces, right? And the second letter up is C. So C for cows. Okay, we have an answer. C. This is by Kelly. G. That's correct. A. Correct. And F is correct. Very good. So Kelly has the right answer there. So these three were on spaces. That's pretty easy. You just use the little saying. And then this last one would be the other saying, good boys deserve fries. That's the fourth line up. Remember, you always want to be going from the bottom to the top. Very good, guys. Okay, I think we can move on. I think you guys are getting the right answers and such. So let's move on to whatever I wrote in the PowerPoint is probably practice, right? Or no. Okay, I have another question for you. This is more of a personal question, but again, it helps us all kind of like learn together and, have camaraderie as a community. And the question for you is, are you here to learn more about piano or another instrument? So all you got to type is piano or whatever instrument that you're trying to learn. That's all you got to do. And if you could really just take the time to a minute or two to answer, a second or two to answer, we really appreciate it. So let's continue here. Sorry, I got that blocking me. Not that I'm that important in all this. It's the stuff you're learning, right? Okay, let's talk about intervals now. Now that we have the basics set, we can build on that and read music much, much faster. So Kelly has answered, they're learning piano and learning music on the whole. Perfect. We got a bunch of answers, actually. We got guitar. Interesting. Okay. Piano. Very good. I was just kind of curious with that. I'm glad you guys answered that because I know that most of us are piano on this channel, but I know that some of us are actually learning other instruments. And there's a lot of crossover with this channel, right? Like, first of all, the piano is such a good instrument to learn if you're learning any other instrument, because it's so much easier for me to visualize music theory on the piano because it has white and black keys and it's like really easy to figure out where you're at. Whereas on a guitar fretboard, right, they're all the same. Like, they all look the same pretty much, right? They're all in half steps. It's like if this was all just white, black, white, black, white, black, all the way through. So the spacing of the piano makes it easier for me to understand the theory of music. And so I think that's why there are a lot of people who are learning guitar or some other instrument, is because there's so much crossover with this stuff. Voice 2. Okay, life 2, somebody says. So you're doing piano and life. Very cool. That's what I'm doing too. Piano and life all the way. Okay, let's continue. An interval is the distance between two notes. And you can use intervals in combination with memorizing the lines and spaces to read notes a lot faster. So when notes are played at the same time, they tend to be stacked on top of one another. That is what we call harmony. If they were played one at a time like this, that would be called melody. It's usually left to right is melody, up and down is harmony. So this is the first type of harmony that we have. And the two notes we have here, you may have read them, are G and A. But I will tell you a secret. There is a way to figure this out a lot faster, and that is to identify the interval from sight. So let me explain this first. An interval is the distance between two notes. So if you have the note and you have the very next note, that's a second, 1, 2. If you have a note and you skip a note, that's a third, 1, 2, 3, right? Doesn't matter if it's flatted. So if it can go from here to here, that's still a second. It's just called a minor second. Same thing from here to here, that's still a third. It's just a minor third. But I usually just kind of like to count the white keys. It makes it a little easier in terms of just figuring out the number. So if you have E and F, that is 1, 2, correct? So that is a second. And a second you can identify instantly because they are so close together that when they're played at the same time, they have to like kind of like put them side by side. And I'll show you what I mean. So let me move these notes a little further apart and you'll instantly know what I'm talking about. See, when I moved it up, they went from side to side, right to vertical again. So we have seconds. Seconds are very easy to tell, again, because they're sandwiched together. And let me get rid of this really quick. Hold on. Okay, and you can see I moved it up and down on the keyboard or on the staff. It doesn't matter where you're moving it. It will always look this way. So if you see this, it's automatically a second, no matter what. All right, very good. Somebody got the first question. Elaine Porter got the GFCC, the very first question I asked you guys. Correct. Very good. And good morning to you, by the way. Okay, let's talk about thirds. A third is when, again, you skip over a note, right? You're going from E to G. So we skipped over F. So I count them 1, 2, 3 like that. So that's a third. And a third looks the same. It doesn't matter whether it starts on a line or a space. It will always look like the beginning of a stacked snowman. See, I just moved it up to the line and the other one shifted up to a line. So we went from space to space, line to line. It doesn't matter. That is still a third. And here's a good way or a good use of thirds or intervals in general. So say I have the top line of the bass clef here, and then I have a ledger line. So those are the lines we add above or below the staff. And I'm adding a ledger line. Say I don't know what note that is yet, right? But I do know what interval this is, right? It's the beginning of a stacked snowman. So if I play A, the bottom note, I already know that the next note up is right here because we're skipping every other note to make a third. So you can use that to figure out some of your ledger line notes. Like say it was from here to here, you know, where the bottom note is C now. Well, you know, like, oh, that's a really high up note, but they're still a third apart. So I know that that top note is right there. So use this in combination with the lines and spaces, and you'll be able to read like 10 times faster. I'm not even kidding. That's not even clickbait. But let me show you some more intervals because we need to go over all of them. There's especially a pattern I want you to start becoming aware of when it comes to these intervals. So that's a second, remember. Third. This is a fourth. A fourth, if one of them is on a space, so see how the bottom note is on a space? The top note is going to be a line. But if the bottom note is a line, the top note is going to be a space. And I want you to kind of take note of this because this is very important, all even number intervals. So 2, 4, 6, and 8 all have something in common, and that is when one of the notes is on a line, the other one's on a space. So this is what I call not matching. They don't match. One is on a line, the other's on a space. And that all even number intervals are like that. It might be the opposite of what you think. You might think, oh, even, they match, right? Just the way the word even kind of sounds. But no, even intervals don't match. Odd intervals, however, which means if one's on a line, the other's on a line, they do match. So here's 3, 5, 7, and then like if I did the whole thing, it would be 9. But you can see already that they match. It doesn't matter. Like if I move these to spaces, they're still both going to match. So when I'm figuring these intervals out, the first question I always ask myself is, do they match? And, so take a look at this one. Okay, they match, right? And then the second question I ask myself is, how far apart are they? Because remember, a third, like say I know that bottom note A, we're trying to figure out the top note here, which happens to be G, and you know that it can't be a third, because a third would look like this. Oops. Sorry, guys. A third would look like that, right? And then a fifth would be right there. So that's a seventh. Usually if I see a note and then I see 2 blank spaces or 2 blank lines and then another note, that's most times a seventh. But again, you ask yourself one question: do they match? And if the answer is yes, it's an odd number interval, 3, 5, 7, or 9. And then you use the distances to figure out, is it 3? Like, are they stacked right on top of each other? Is it a little further apart, 5? Or is it really far apart, 7? So make sure that you're using these to your advantage. Let me give you an example of how this is useful. Say I have this chord, this cluster of notes here, and I need to read it like lightning fast. Now, when I walk you through it, it's not going to be lightning fast. But once you really internalize this stuff, it will be lightning fast. So the first place I would do is figure out the bottom note. That's obviously C, right? Like all cows eat grass. So you find C there. And then you know that the bottom 2 notes, that's a third, right? From there to there. So that's definitely like a stacked snowman type of thing. Then you look at the intervals between the next 2 notes. There and there, and that is a fourth, right? They don't match and they're a little further apart. And at the top, we have a second between the top 2. And, I know walking through it seems slower, but trust me, once you get used to this, it all falls, right into place instantly. Like if I was really playing this, I could just look at it and go, boom, whoop, except I would play it right? So that's the whole point. You need to get so good at this, so good at these intervals, that it's like the back of your hand. That's the same thing with like trying to figure out the lines and spaces. Like sure, you want to use the sayings at first if that helps you find the right answer, but eventually you want to get to this point. That's an F. I don't need to think like, oh, is it good boys deserve whatever. It's just I internalize it as F, and that's where you want to get with these intervals. All right, let's take a look here. We got a comment here. From P Ward, says, good morning. I've been watching your channel from the early days. Wow. What year was that? Can you tell me? I wanted to thank you for giving me the love of piano. That's such a sweet comment. Wow. I wasn't expecting that. Wow. Thank you so much. I know you guys can't see the comment. Let me see if I can get it in here. There it is. Yeah, that's a better view anyway. Very cool. I mean, thank you so much. I mean, that's a really, what year, if you're still in the chat, what year did you come across me? I would really love to know. I would really, really love to know. Okay, this is a really funky exercise one can try to improve their interval recognition. Try reading music written on the C clef. It's not the one we're used to as pianists. It's very interesting. So one will need to rely on intervals. That's very, very interesting. Awesome stuff, Tim. Yes, I will internalize that as F. Yeah, it takes time. You know what I mean? Like at first, it's like 3 plus 3, right? Do you have to think? Do you have to lay out the apples to figure out what 3 plus 3 is? Well, yeah. When you first learn 3 plus 3, like your dad or your mom or your teacher, be like, I have 3 apples and I have 3 more, and count how many apples we have. 6. But you don't have to do like, right? You know, 3 plus 3 equals 6. 4 plus 4 equals 8. 2 plus 2 equals 4. You want it to be like that. Very good. Autocorrect is messing up, says Elaine. That's okay. Egan. Egan. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, Michael. Oh, Sam. I wanted to get to Sam's comment and explain really what this means here. Okay, this crazy thing right here is the alto clef right here. Okay, and what Sam is saying is usually with treble clef and bass clef, some of us might have the lines and spaces memorized already. So what it may help to do is read things in the alto clef. And this is a brief, I've never talked about this on the channel before, but this is a brief, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sam, I do believe this is how it works. I do believe that the center of this clef, right in the middle, what happened? Right in the middle there, I must have erased it. That note is C. And then you figure it out, like everything around it, like for instance, that would be B, right? Because it's right before C. So you're finding everything out in relation to this middle line. So if you want to practice your intervals and maybe not rely so much on your memory of the lines and spaces, you could, Sam, let me know if you know any good resources for learning things in the alto clef, because I really am not as familiar with this. But these two notes here, this is just the perfect example. I said that middle line C, right? So we'll just say it's right there. And we know that this is a fifth, right? We're going from line to line, so it must be some sort of odd interval. There's kind of a space in between. So right away I know that's fifth. And that means that that top note, even though I'm not as familiar with reading this clef, I know that that is G. So yeah, Sam, if you have any, if you know any exercises that people can grab a hold of in alto clef for piano, which would be kind of interesting, or maybe if it is for viola or something, I don't know. If you happen to know, if you don't happen to know, that's fine. Just kind of curious, but that's just so you guys know about alto clef. There's also something called tenor clef as well. Let's see if they have tenor clef, and then we'll move on from our regular stuff. But it is important you guys know this. So that's alto. I don't know why it didn't change it. Try one more time. Oh, there's also a percussion clef. But we'll go over that later. So alto, baritone. What happened? Am I crazy? Oh, it did it the measure before. That's weird. So this is tenor clef. And what that means is that C now is actually in the middle of that line instead. So if you are looking to enhance your intervals without relying on your lines and spaces, that's the way to do it. Let's see what Sam has to say real quick. Some old sheet music from the early Baroque music. Oh, yes. Yes. For keyboards, also uses the alto clef. I remember now. That was such a pain when I was learning it in music school. Yes. And a lot of isn't like the block notation a lot in alto clef? I might be wrong. We're not going to go into block notation today. I don't entirely remember how it works. It's really just music. It's written in blocks. It's kind of weird. Man, you know what? Since we're learning today, guys, let's go on a field trip. Well, not literally, but I want to show you guys what block notation looks like. Just as like a general music education type of thing. It looks really weird. I don't. Let me try to see if I can find this real quick. If I can't find it off the top of my head, we're just going to skip it. Or is it stick notation? Do I have the wrong terminology here? Well, I'm not seeing it. Maybe, I swear it was called block notation. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. If I can find the real word for it, we'll go over it. But let's continue here. C, E, G, F. Very good. Let's continue here. So let's do some interval practice, shall we? So I'm going to draw like maybe 1 to 3 intervals. Or no, I'm going to draw 4 intervals across. And I want you to tell me what they are. And this kind of just helps me know if you guys understand this stuff. 100% or not. So let's bring it back here. Let me see if I can get rid of these clefs, because what in the world? What in the world? Hold on, guys. Change clef. Treble. What in the world now? All right, we're just gonna. Oh, it's supposed to be bass. Ugh, duh. Sorry, guys. Let's figure this out. Bass is on the bottom. Bass? Wait, what? Oh, I'm so confused now. Yeah, now it's all messed up. Anyway, let's go back before this happened, and we'll figure it out from here. What I'm going to do is, like I said, I'm going to draw 4 intervals across, and I want you to tell me what they are, okay? Here we go. Okay, that's good. Okay. Make sure these are all acceptable. Yes, they are. Okay, now, this is your quiz question. I got to make sure you guys know your intervals. So we're doing 4 intervals left to right, and I want you guys to tell me what those intervals are. So this one first, then this one, and then this one, and this one. So I'll give you guys a few minutes to figure these out. Let me know in the chat once you got the right answers. Oh, somebody's quick with it. Kelly's quick with it. Let's see if I can get another answer before I tell Kelly if they are correct or wrong. So let me see if I can get a couple more answers from you guys. The question, or the answer Kelly gave, is 2nd, 4th, 7th, 3rd, which I don't know. It could be right. But let's see if I can get another answer in before we answer it. And just to kind of walk you through some tips while we get some more answers here. Remember that you always want to look, do they match? This one does not. It must be an even number interval, really close together, so it must be 2nd. Now let's see here. We have 2 more answers. We have 2, 4, 8, 3. Okay, 2, 4, 8, 3. A lot more 2, 4, 8, 3s. So let's see if that is the correct answer. So we have 2 down here, definitely, right, next to each other. 4, they don't match. They're a little further apart. And then where the first answer, I believe is Kelly, where you went wrong, Kelly, is you said that this was a 7th. Now remember, for a 7th, they'd have to match. So if this bottom one's on a line, the top one would also have to be on a line. So if the top note was C here, middle C, then you'd be correct, but it's actually from D to D. So that's an octave, but you were pretty close. And then that one's very easy to get wrong, by the way. And then the last one over here is a 3rd. Very good, guys. You guys seem to understand it pretty well. A little error here or there isn't so bad. That is pretty common. And now Sam is always really good at reminding me of things that I didn't talk about. And Sam says, this is a first interval called a unison, but you don't see it on the piano often. And that's because, right, you can't play a unison on piano. So what Sam is talking about is if you and your friend, da, da, I am singing poorly, singing in unison with the piano, da. You can sing in unison with another person or another instrument. However, you can't play the same note on the piano simultaneously, because that would be singing in unison. It has to be unison, right? So what Sam is telling you is that when I'm explaining, seconds, thirds, fourths, fifths, and so forth, there's actually one called a unison, which is 1. We go from 2 to octave, but there is a 1 interval, and that is unison. You do sometimes see unisons if the composer is doing voicings, but you can't really play it. That is true. That's true. So if you ever see, I don't have any examples right in front of me, but if you ever see if you ever see a note that it's very unclear whether you play it with the bass clef or treble clef, and it has maybe a stem going up and a stem going down. That's what Sam is talking about, where sometimes you'll have a note that's technically played with, because each hand is a voice, right? You know, this is a top voice. These are the lower voices, right? So Sam is saying that sometimes they will kind of converge. You'll have something in the melody, and you'll have a left hand note at the same time. And sometimes you can even play them together with the thumb. Guitar has a lot of repeated notes too. Crazy instrument. Guitar does sound pretty crazy, to be honest. You can play unison on ukulele. That's cool. You guys have all these cool instruments you can play unisons on. I'm jealous. Anyway, I'm just kidding around, of course. Do you guys have any comments or questions about intervals? I do want to go over one quick thing before we adjourn today, and I actually do have a couple of announcements because we have holiday time coming up, and just some light announcements on when you guys can expect videos from me. Okay, let's do this really quick. I want to talk about intervals again really quick. Okay, now these are the lines of the bass clef. Remember, they're G, B, D, F, A. Now this is very important, so pay attention. The lines of a staff, in this case G, B, D, F, A, from the bottom to the top, are equal. Of course. There we go. We finally got it. It's amazing when stuff finally works. So the lines of a staff are equal to the spaces going up the staff from the top space. So what this means is that if this is G, B, D, F, A, well, guess what this is? This is also G, B, D, F, A. And you can use that. Say I had a note, just this note right here. You could really quick go, okay, the top space I know is G. Remember, starting from the top space, G, B, D, F, and you figure out right away that F is right there, rather than, you know, really like counting up every note from the ledger line, which would like from the top line, which would take too much time. My explanation is falling apart. All you need to know is that the lines of a staff are equal to the spaces going up off the staff from the top space. That's the ledger line rule number one. And you can use that to figure out your ledger line rules much faster. Now here's the second part of it. The lines of a staff, so keep in mind we're just looking at this measure right here. The lines of a staff are equal to the spaces going down below the staff, starting from the bottom space, however, in reverse order, because this time we're going from the top and we're going down. So this, if this is, you know, E, whoops, E, that is not correct. Sorry, guys. Here we go. So if this is E, G, B, D, F, this is E, G, B, D, F, but we're going, remember, we're going from down here up here. So a lot of times you're going to have this note right here, right? And then you're going to have to figure out maybe like this note down here. So you're going to have to learn this in reverse order. G, B, D, F, A. You want to learn it as A, F, D, B, G. And this is A, F, D, B, and the note way down here. This would actually be a B right here. So I know it's a little confusing, but just remember that the lines are equal to the spaces, either going from the top space up or the bottom space below. You just got to be careful when you're going from the bottom space below. You're actually going to be counting probably the opposite direction since you have the top note already and you're going down the other way. Let me know if you have any questions about that. I know it can be a little confusing at first, but trust me that once you master this, your ledger lines will no longer be a problem. So there's two more rules to this though. Okay, here's the ledger line rule, the next one, the spaces of a staff. So we were talking about the lines first, but now the spaces of a staff are equal to the lines going down below the staff starting from the bottom line. So if this is, and we'll do it in reverse order this time because we're going, remember, down. If this is ECAF or FACE in reverse order, this is ECAF. So if I had this note right here, say I just drew that note and I didn't have anything else, you go EC, oh, that must be A. And you can figure out right away where those notes, oh, wait. I'm thinking of treble clef. I goofed, guys. This is ACEG. So if this is, sorry. If this is GECA, ACEG in reverse order, this is G, E, wait, now I got the line. My brain is mixed up. It's GECA. So GECA. So this note right here would actually be C. Like that. So make sure you're using the right lines and spaces, but it remains the same. The spaces of a staff, doesn't matter whether it's treble or bass, you just got to make sure you have the right one, are equal to the lines going down below the staff, starting from the bottom line going down the opposite direction. Now, there's just one more rule to go, and this is the easiest rule. So the spaces of a staff. This time I know it's the bass clef, ACEG from bottom to the top, are equal to the lines going up off the staff starting from the top line. So if this is ACEG, remember we're starting from the top line and it's ACEG. And you can use those to figure out your ledger lines real quick. Let's do a few examples just as, just kind of show off here. We'll do it here. No, we'll do it here. Nope. We're just going to do it here. So question. So we're looking right here at this note. What note is this, right? And it's on a ledger line. So we're going to have to use our little trick. And remember, it's very easy. Remember, it's equal. So this is on a line. It's up off the staff. So it's one of these four notes, A, C, E, G, right? Because the lines going up the staff are equal to the spaces on the staff, right? A, C, E, G. Starting from the top line. So this would be A, and then C, and then this note must be E. And that's how you would figure it out, A, C, E. Right there. And again, it's going to take you a little bit more time at first, but you're going to get these. Kelly is right on the money today with that E. Very good. Let's practice a couple more just to kind of show how you're going to use this. Okay. Okay, what note is this? This is a ledger line below the staff. First question I ask myself, is this on a line or a space? And it's on a line, right? So that means one of the four notes that it could be, it's one of the spaces, right? Because the spaces are equal to the lines, either going up or below the staff, right? And so if this is ACEG, this is ACEG. You just got to keep in mind that the bottom note here, it's kind of in reverse order because you have G here, which would parallel to this. You have E. I actually like this diagram a lot. C, just to kind of visually show you where these line up. And this is the note we're looking for, right? Because we're going from the top down the opposite direction. So this note right here must be A, correct? And Kelly, once again, is killing it with the correct answers here. So you guys really, from what I can tell in the chat, you guys seem okay with this. If you're somebody that's been kind of quiet the whole time, maybe you don't quite understand, that's okay. I want you to keep going over this stuff until you do understand it. Some of this rudimentary stuff, or the fundamentals as I call them, they can be confusing at first, but over time, trust me, they do get a lot easier. You need to give them a chance though. I've had some people, they struggle with reading music and then they practice it for a couple weeks and it just clicks with them all of a sudden. Or music theory. I didn't understand music theory for the longest time and I just kept studying it every day. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wow, I finally understand. So what I want you guys to do to get more practice on this, let me get you a link here. And then in the meantime, what I want you to do is let me know any questions you have about reading bass clef or reading music in general. If there's something specific that you're struggling with, let me know and we'll tackle it here at the end. But let me get you a link really quick because I want you guys to watch something after we are done today. I think I have it right here. Copy. Yeah, here we go. Watch this when we are done. So this is so if you wanted more practice on what we talked about today, which was reading the bass clef, you want to check out a lesson I put out recently. It's under pretty much the same name, How to Read Bass Clef 10 Times Easier, but it's like a full lesson. And I go into more detail about a lot of the things that we talked about today. And I really want you to watch that once we're done here. It'll help you kind of really get a solid foundation on this stuff so that you know it like the back of your hand, right? All right. Any questions before we adjourn? Let me give you some announcements. Here are the announcements. Announcement 1. There will be no new video tomorrow. I know normally new videos come out on Sunday, and they will after tomorrow, but tomorrow there won't be a new video out. I just decided, I was looking it over last night, and I'm like, you know what? I want to make a few adjustments to it that I think would make the video a lot better. And it is a newish topic that I haven't talked a lot about on the channel, and I'll just tell you what it is. It's piano technique. So it's about basically 5 or 6 tips on how like simple, easy to implement things that will give you a better sound at piano. And that's one thing I don't talk enough about is how to get a better sound, how to get technically better, right? Things like that. And, sing out the melody and bring back the harmony. So there are some of those things we will touch on in that lesson. It's just that I needed a little more time to cook. I watched it last night and I'm like, it could be better. And that's what we're going to do. And I know exactly what I want to do. But anyway, no new lesson coming tomorrow. So this is the schedule coming up. The next time I'm going to see you after today is next Saturday at the same time. So if you joined us today at 10:15 in the morning EST, then we're meeting 10:15 next week at the same time. Whatever time it is for you, we're meeting the same time next week. So we are on regular schedule with that. And then next week, the lessons will start coming out on a regular schedule again. We just need to take a week off here so I can clean up and make this next video the best one I can. So, all right, guys, any questions, comments, anything? That's the video I watched, says Kelly. Thank you, Kelly. I know who the good students are, aka Kelly, for watching all the videos. But anyway, I'm just kidding. But I am impressed by Kelly. Kelly today was really on fire. Okay, let's take a look at some chat-arinos here. If you want to leave a chat-arino before, we finish in the next 10 minutes or so, let me know. But I want to say hi to Elaine, who was really on the ball today. I saw you a few times, Elaine. Welcome. Kelly, of course. We got Ray Butler. Welcome to and if you are a newer returning student, I always love to see returning students. So if you guys want to come back next time, I think I'll remember your name. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 times. Sometimes it might even take more than that until I'm like, wow, this is somebody that, really loves coming and enjoying learning with us all, which I really appreciate. So let's continue here. Ray. Okay, we got Michael. Thanks for coming, Michael. Guitar has a lot of the same. Yeah, I've read that before. Making sure I didn't miss anybody. Maple Bob. I love your name, Maple Bob. And that's one name I do recognize when you show up, just because it's so kind of unique. I can remember that one pretty easy. But again, I love learning together as a class. It makes it a lot more fun to do YouTube when you're actually connected with real students. Sometimes when I don't do live streams for a while, I feel like you guys are just just names on a paper. But when I communicate with you like this, it feels a lot more real because it is real. You guys are real students trying to really learn, you know. So that's why I like live streaming so much. Let's continue. This is fun. Thank you. All right, Kelly. Well, I'm glad you liked it today. It was about 8 years now. Okay, this is from P Ward. I just sat at the piano. You inspired me. Thank you. Well, you're welcome, P Ward. It's awesome to have you here, and you're welcome back anytime at all. Sorry, guys. My computer was yelling at me. That's so cool. 8 years ago. So that was, I would say that is the early days, but that's not like, that's pretty early. So 8 years ago was probably like, what, 2017 or so? And I had been doing YouTube for about 4 years at that point. So I was a few years into it. I would say that those are like the mid, for me, because I've been around for a while, those are like the middle years for me. I would say the first years were like from 2013, probably to 2017. And then from 2017 maybe to 2023 was like another, chunk. And then 23 to now is another chunk. But very cool. That's pretty early. I'm trying to learn finger position for beginners, so that's a tip for a future video. I'm trying to learn finger positioning for beginners. That's actually a good idea. Let me write this down. Finger positioning. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to write it here because that's where I wrote down all the stuff Sam. All the notes I get from Sam. I'm like, I must write this down. Hey, we went over the microcosmos last time. Let's take a look. So you wanted finger positioning, and again, if you guys have any if you guys have anything you struggle with and you'd like a lesson on, let me know in the chat or the comments. I'll let you just know straight up front. I can't do every single request, but your requests are still helpful because it lets me know like what you guys are struggling with. And I do well, I don't officially do requests, but if your request is something that's really in line with what we're doing, and I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I should make a lesson on that, just let me know. I'll write it down. I can't make any promises, but this was a good one. Let me I don't think I went over the Alexander Godike last time, Sam. I wanted to. I think what happened, let me write this down first. I think what happened last time, I wanted to go over that, and we will go over that again at some point. We went through some of these exercises, and then I noticed, like, as I started talking about some more complex exercises, I think the viewership really, like, tanked. Like, I noticed we went from, like, 35 people here to, like 10, and I was like, ugh, people are not feeling these exercises. So I think it was just too, like, I should have stuck to like the more simple ones, and then maybe I don't know. It just, I wasn't feeling it, and I kind of would like to try that set of exercises again at some point. But anyway, wonderful. This will help in my struggle with ledger lines, says Elaine. Well, that's excellent to hear. But we did go over the microcosmos. I went over maybe the first few there. Counting, especially dotted notes. Okay, dotted notes it is. I like that. That's a good idea. Yeah, sometimes when I'm doing a lesson, like a live lesson, sometimes if I don't structure it the right way, it kind of runs out of steam, and then people, I think, get bored and they leave, and then that bothers me. And then I'm like, all right, we'll just end the lesson. I'll just get out of here while I'm bombing hard. You know what I mean? It probably is kind of like when you're a comedian and you start bombing, and you're like, oh man, I just want to I just want to go back to the drawing board and come back next time. I'm in the favor book, volume 1, so tips on what to aim for after that one is appreciated. Okay, like maybe what to do. Maybe like what to do when you finish, or like what to do next. Like what should you do when you learn Yeah, I'm trying to think of like a way to phrase that to make it interesting. Not that it's not interesting. Um, yeah, like what's like a plan on what to learn, or like that your question is very specific, and I want to make sure I make a video if I do it that answers that question. Um, I'm in the Faber book, volume 1, so tips, what to aim. Yeah, I guess like what to learn next is probably a good. Okay, these are really good, guys. Thanks. Okay, wonderful counting, especially. Oh, did I write? I wrote dotted notes. You guys probably dotted notes, eh? You probably want to know about. Okay, very good, guys. I'll stick around for another couple minutes, see if I have any last minute comments or questions, or maybe if you guys want, a recommendation of a video. But again, the next video, again, with no video coming out tomorrow, it will be out next Sunday instead, and it will be about piano technique. And then we will meet next week for a live stream. Your channel has helped me tons, by the way. It's motivating. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I try to make things motivating. I try to make things like approachable, and I try to remind students that like failure, and this is something I should talk about more, failure is a part of the process, guys. Like if you're young and you're like, man, I don't want to be rejected, and I don't want to be, I don't want to feel like an idiot, or I don't want to like lose and look like a loser or whatever. You just have to get over that stuff. You really do. None of that stuff matters at all. And like, you just have to focus, like, don't get so in your own head about stuff and be afraid of failure. Failure is a part of the process. You try something and naturally you're going to fail at it the first time, unless you just have freak luck or you are some sort of genetic specimen, right? So you'll try something, it's natural you're going to fail at it, and then what do? Do you just give up? Well, I'd say most people do, but what you do is you try, you fail, you adjust. You have to analyze and adjust what you're doing, right? So if you try something and it fails, you don't want to be like, oh, it's just not for me. Sometimes that might be the case, but a lot of times you want to try something, and like when I put out a video and it bombs, like last week I didn't think that the live stream did as well as I wanted, so I kind of wrote down a list of like 5 things I thought could have went better, and I incorporated those into this lesson. And that's what you want to do, is like when you say you want to try out for jazz band and you fail, right? You don't get in a jazz band. Well, it probably wasn't a complete failure. There's probably a couple of things that went well, or maybe 1 or 2 that went right. So you want to make a list, like what went right about this? What do I want to repeat next time? And what things do I want to change for the next time? Making that little list, just like a list of 3 to 5 things that could be better each time, is going to contribute so much to whatever you're going to do, whether it's piano or YouTube or whatever it is. But that analyze and adjust phase is so important, because a lot of students, they'll try, they'll fail, and because their egos get in their own way, or they just have like a self-limiting belief on failure, they're like, oh, I failed, so I must be a failure. No, everybody fails. You just got to keep at it. Maybe a roadmap on daily skills to practice. Okay. This is another recommendation from Nick here. What to practice? Okay, I got that down. Excellent. So I got some pretty good ideas down. Again, I can't say that I'm 100% going to do them all, but they are good to know. And if I make a video that might not necessarily be like for instance, dotted notes was a recommendation I got. I might not make a video just on dotted notes, but take a look at the rhythm videos I do, because say I do one on rhythm patterns. One of these times I'm probably going to include dotted notes in there, because I know you guys struggle with it. So keep watching the videos. The answers to your questions may be in another video, on a similar topic. All right. Any last minute comments or questions for today? I want to thank Sam for coming out today and all of his wonderful insights and recommendations. Always a love to do that. We're gonna have to take a look at that Alexander Goldick sometime and really deep dive into that. But like I said last week, I had to jump ship because I felt like it wasn't going well. Anyway, yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks for all the people that support me over on my website, pianolessonsontheweb.com, which, by the way, I will give you guys a heads up here. There is if you wanted courses over on my website, pianolessonsontheweb.com, there is a Black Friday sale starting on Monday. It's going to run from this next Monday to the following Monday. So it's going to run through the holiday basically here, and it'll be the Black Friday sale. The courses will be discounted more than you will see them any other time of year, so it's like the best time to pick them up. And I just want to give you guys a heads up, if you've been thinking about it, that the Black Friday sale starts on Monday, so you might want to hold off a day or two for that. But I want to let you know, pianolessonsontheweb.com. Maybe I'll just show it to you now so you have kind of a idea on what it is, what it looks like. Okay, just real quick. So here's my website. Again, on Monday, there's going to be a sale posted. And, what the courses can offer you, you can learn a lot more about piano, music theory, ear training, sight reading, anything you need to become a well-rounded musician. And whether you're a beginner looking for like a solid foundation to build on, or you have been playing for a while and you're looking for some extra tips or some knowledge to expand your music experience, there's courses here for you. Feel free to look through everything on your own when you get a chance, but I just wanted to show you what the website looked like. One thing I do want to tell you is, if you are interested, say you want to look at the all course access, you can click on any of these courses and it will bring you to a course description page, which will give you kind of a basically tell you like what the course is covering, what you need to know ahead of time, generally how long it's going to take. I mean, this varies a lot depending on what type of learner you are or how much you know already. So it takes you a little bit longer. Don't worry about it. It's just general rule of thumb type stuff. So yeah, pianolessonsontheweb.com. Check it out. Sale is going live on Monday. I mean, I could be underhanded and tell you to sign up now when the prices are higher, but I try to be good to you guys when I can. All right, guys, any comments, questions, anything on your mind before we go that's music related? You're doing great. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. I appreciate your kind words. And if I ever inspire you, let me know. Those little comments, I don't live off of those comments, but they do help motivate me. So what I'm trying to say is, like, I don't live for positive reinforcement. And I think anybody that, once you're starting to get into your 30s and 40s, you should, this is just a recommendation. You should move away from like validation from other people. Now, when people say nice things about the things that you did for them, it still feels good. And I welcome those comments all the time. Well, I don't need them all the time, but you know what I mean. Great lesson. Thank you. You're very welcome, Elaine. Yeah, thank you, Martin. We got Ray Butler. Thanks for coming. Modulation is another one. Okay. I do talk about modulation in my music theory courses. I believe music theory level 2 and 3 over on my website. But I can probably work in modulation at some point for sure. I don't think it will be a lesson all on its own. So what I would do is I would look out for a music theory lesson, watch those when I put those out. And one of those will include modulation for sure. The reason, well, I don't want to get into why I can't make a lesson just on modulation. It wouldn't do well. That's the problem with it. It might do well in search. I don't know. I can't get into it right now. It's too much of a nerdy explanation. All right, guys. Just trying to see if I missed anybody. Thank you for the PDF. When the link did not. Oh, this is Larry. Oh, you're very welcome, Larry. Larry's the one that thought I didn't like him, and I talked with Larry earlier this week. Got him the PDF. Actually, I almost have that fixed. So if you sign up for my ebook recently, this is what Larry's talking about. I have a free ebook. It's probably in the description of a lot of the videos. Recently, the website I used is called Constant Contact. It emails people basically automatically based on what you tell it or whatever. They made a bunch of changes recently, and then the whole system I had set up to send people emails was just erased. So I have to redo it. I'm going to redo it this week. It'll be done. Needless to say, after this year, I'm not doing business with Constant Contact anymore for other reasons as well. I just feel like their customer... When I tried to get customer service, they gave me an AI bot, and eventually I started asking the AI bot like just through the problems that I was having, and it couldn't answer it. Like there's one part where it just gave me ... and it left me on, and I couldn't get a hold of a real person. So I'm like, I'm not doing business with these people anymore. Anyway. Anyway, guys, sorry. Somebody says, why? I'm just going to call you Y. Why is there an X in my name? You're late. You are late. So if you want to join us live next time, because we are adjourning today in just a minute or two, join us the same time next Saturday at the same exact time. I just want to thank you for all your videos. This is from Conscious Mushroom. I like your name. That's really cool. I've been looking for a place online where I can learn music theory, and your channel is the one. No one explains as well as you do. Thank you so much. One thing I try to do that other channels don't do is I try to like keep in mind that you guys, a lot of you are learning it for the first time, and maybe if you're more like advanced, that might not be your thing, right? You might want another channel where they just dive right into the crazy stuff. But I always try to keep it approachable, for everybody if I can. You're very welcome, by the way, Conscious Mushroom. Okay, guys, we're going to adjourn for today. I didn't realize we are a little bit over the hour, which is fine. I don't really, other than lunch, I don't really have much going on right now. But lunch is important. So anyway, guys, thanks for coming by today. I appreciate all of you. Again, Black Friday sale is going live on the website in 2 days on Monday. Keep that in mind. Maybe I'll have it go live tomorrow. Not sure. But again, the next time we're meeting is next Saturday. All right, guys, have a great weekend. It's been your piano teacher, Tim, here, and I'll see you next time.